I've had the pleasure of talking over to 1,000 patients who have currently been taking peptides now and in the past, and I've seen patterns happen. The same regrets continue to come up over and over again. Not about a specific peptide, not about specific side effects. You see, there's a pattern underneath all of it that affects tons of you. And by the end of this video, you're gonna see it very clearly too and know what to do about it. I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I lead a nationwide peptide clinic, and I've personally coached thousands of patients through these exact peptide protocols. And this is a topic that I'm passionate about because I not only went through my own 100-pound weight loss journey, but I've also been using and studying peptides for over a decade. And I know what it's like to sift through conflicting information, trying to figure out what actually works. Let's start with the first thing that came up in the majority of conversations: confidence. But not the kind that you'd expect. You see, people I talked to weren't lacking confidence in peptides. Most of them were very confident that BPC 157 heals, that AOD is gonna burn their body fat, that MOTC is gonna boost performance, upregulate the mitochondrial function, and just enhance overall vitality. And here's the thing, we use these peptides in our clinic and we see fantastic results with them, but the confidence was pointed in the wrong direction. People are confident in the compound and completely overlooking everything around it. Where they got it, whether their body actually was ready for it, whether anybody was monitoring what was happening inside them. You see, that's the confidence gap. All of the certainty was on the peptide itself, and almost none of it was on the system that determines whether that peptide actually works. And this showed up everywhere. People told me things like, I did my own research, meaning they watched a couple YouTube videos, joined a Reddit group. They told me a peptide is a peptide and a molecule is a molecule, not realizing that where it comes from changes everything. They said it's natural, so it can't cause problems, as if your body doesn't care about dose timing and what else is going on metabolically speaking. In our clinic, we put a patient on BPC 157 or AOD 9604. It's after we've looked at their blood work, assessed their foundation, sourced from a verified 503A pharmacy, and built a protocol around their specific situation. And that's when peptides do what they're supposed to do. The 1,000 patients that I've talked to over the years, most of them skipped a majority of that. And that was regret number one. But the misplaced confidence was just the beginning, because where they're getting their peptides, that opened up a whole different set of problems. See, here's what I mean. One of the most common things that people told me was, I did my research on the peptide. They spent hours comparing BPC 157 to TB 500, reading about MOTC dosing, figuring out which compound to try, but almost nobody spent the same energy researching where they were getting it from. And this matters more than most people realize. There was an investigation that found hundreds of peptide listings on Amazon, Alibaba, and Walmart that had to be pulled. These aren't dark websites. These are platforms that people shop on every single day. And the FDA had described their own enforcement action as bad actors in this space. I'm not exaggerating here. Whack-a-mole is what it really looks like. And they shut one down and another one pops up. Now here's the phrase that came up constantly in these conversations. Research grade. People would tell me it's research grade, so it's legit. But you don't know what research grade actually means. It means it was manufactured for lab research, not for human use. There's no requirement that it meets pharmaceutical purity standards. There's no requirement for sterility testing. A certificate of analysis that says 99% purity sounds impressive, but who issued that certificate of analysis? And did anybody independently verify it? Surprisingly enough, there was a lot of people that I talked to that told me that they had a bad reaction from the peptides and they just stopped using it entirely. They blamed the compound. BPC 157 didn't work for me. AOD gave me side effects. But here's what I see in our clinic. When patients switch from random online sources to a verified 503A compounding pharmacy and follow proper protocols, many of those side effects, they actually disappear. Not to mention the results improve. Think about that for a second. The peptide didn't fail them, the source did. Contamination, mislabeling, degraded products from bad handling. These aren't rare edge cases. Over 1,000 adverse events have been tied to gray market compounding semaglutide alone. And that's a GLP-1, which gets more oversight than other peptides. So now imagine what's happening in the peptide world, where the oversight is even thinner. You order a vial online, it shows up in a padded envelope, you reconstitute it yourself based on a post that you read, you store it in the fridge, and that may or may not hold the right temperature, and when something feels off, you blame the peptide. That's source roulette, and it's one of the biggest regrets people have shared with me. In our clinic, we don't play that game. Every peptide we prescribe comes from a 503A compounding pharmacy, which means it's subject to FDA oversight, sterility requirements, and potency testing. That's a completely different world from research grade. And it's one of the reasons we see consistent results where a lot of people doing this on their own are getting inconsistent results or giving up entirely. Now look, I want to be clear, I'm not bashing research peptides because I understand that the 503A world is more expensive. And I have a ton of respect for people that have to take matters in their own hands Just be careful and do your research, please. Now, if this is making you wonder about your own peptide sources, or you're realizing that you've been doing this without blood work or professional guidance, this is exactly why we offer free discovery calls, where you can speak with our patient educators. They can assess your specific situation and help you figure out the right next step. You can either text number on the screen, or you can check out the link in the description if you want to explore that. But right now, I need to tell you something that almost nobody is talking about. And honestly, this is the part that concerns me the most as a person who's coaching people like you. Let me be clear about something. Before I get into this, I'm not anti-peptide. We prescribe peptides every single day. I personally take them. I've seen them change people's lives in our clinic all the time. But part of using them is being honest about the risks that aren't getting enough attention. And this next one almost never comes up in the peptide communities. This is the growth hormone secretagogues, things like CJC1295 and ipamorelin. These are some of the most popular peptides out there right now, and for good reason. They cause your body to produce more of its own natural growth hormone, better recovery, better sleep, better body composition. And when used properly, we see great results with these. But here's what nobody's talking about. These compounds cause sustained dose-dependent increases in both growth hormone and IGF-1. And IGF-1 is not something that you want running high without anybody watching it. Chronically elevated IGF-1 levels can drive insulin resistance, which for anybody trying to lose weight or improve metabolic health, that's working directly against your goals. It's also a concern for pituitary function over time. And the long-term human safety data on these compounds essentially non-existent. Lower doses appear to be safe and well tolerated in short-term research that we have, but the protocols people are running on their own, I've seen stacking multiple secretagogues, running them for multiple months or even years with no blood work. That's completely uncharted territory and something that I would never recommend. In our clinic, we're monitoring the IGF, sometimes prolactin. We're running blood work to look at the metabolic health. We're adjusting protocols based on what we actually see happening in your body. That's not optimal for us. That's the minimum. But most people running these growth hormone secretagogues on their own have never had their IGF or prolactin levels checked. Not once. They have no idea whether those levels are in range or if they've been elevated for months. And in those conversations that I've had, the amount of people that were getting regular blood work was shockingly low, at least the ones that weren't working with us yet. Now, if that just made you rethink that you're approaching peptides in the suboptimal manner, then you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because we put out 4 videos a week where we break down actually what's working in the peptide and GLP-1 space, and more importantly, what's not. So now let me show you why the lack of monitoring matters more than you would think. Here's why. You start taking, for example, CJC-IPA because you want better body composition and recovery. It feels like it's working, your sleep is better, you're recovering faster. But behind the scenes, your IGF is climbing, your fasting insulin is creeping up, and you're developing insulin resistance. And that's silently stalling your progress. So you blame the plateau on something else, you add another peptide, and the cycle continues. So look, peptides are powerful tools. We see that every day in our clinic, but powerful tools without proper monitoring and professional guidance, that's where things can go wrong. And that's exactly what these people learned the hard way. Now, everything I've covered so far, the confidence gap, the source problem, the hidden risks, they're all real. When I asked people what the single biggest pattern was across all of their regrets, the answer surprised even me. For most of these conversations, I expected the biggest regret to be about a specific peptide or a bad source or a side effect, but it wasn't any one of those. The number one pattern, the thing that came up more than anything else, was that people were skipping the foundation. And when I say foundation, I mean the basics that have to be in place before any peptide can do what it's supposed to do. Your hormones, your thyroid, your insulin signaling, your metabolic health. These aren't bonus checkboxes, these are the prerequisites. And the overwhelming majority of people that I talk to jumped straight to peptides without addressing any of them. So here's how I explain this to patients in our clinic. Peptides are amplifiers, they're not fixes. They amplify whatever state your body's already in. So if your foundation is solid, your hormones are optimized, your metabolic health is in a good place, your nutrition is dialed in, then a peptide amplifies that. You get the results that people rave about online. But if your foundation is broken, your thyroid might be off, your insulin resistance is unchecked, your hormones are a mess, then that same peptide goes nowhere. And you either get no results, inconsistent results, or side effects that have nothing to do with the peptide itself. Same compound, completely different outcomes. The variable was never the peptide, it was the foundation underneath. If you want me to make a video where I can show you guys the exact labs that we run before starting anybody on peptides and what each marker tells us whether you're actually ready or not, let me know in the comments if that would be helpful to you. It starts with a single peptide, maybe BPC-157 for an injury, CJC-IPA for recovery. It doesn't blow them away because the foundation isn't there, so they add another one, then another. I hear this story over and over again. How did I get here? I started with one peptide and 3 months later I'm on 4, 6 months later I'm on 7. One person told me their daily routine, C-Max spray, plus tesofensine in the morning, dihexa plus C-Link midday, BPC 157 plus CJC IPA in the evening. That's a whole system. And they spent over $2,000 in a few months with no professional guidance, no blood work, no idea what was actually doing anything. They just kept adding because the online communities reward complexity. More peptides equals more sophistication, but there's zero evidence that stacking peptides creates synergy without the foundations in place. Speaking of that, let me know in the comments what your current peptide stack is, what you're taking, where you're getting it from, and what you're hoping it does. I'll jump in and tell you what I'd flag based on what I see patterns in our clinic. Okay, now, for those of you watching this that are on GLP-1s, like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Zepbound, this same pattern shows up in your world too. The foundation matters even more, I would say, because here's what the data shows. Between 25 to 40% of the weight that people lose on GLP-1s is muscle mass. That's muscle. This right here, this precious tissue, you're supposed to be losing this and you're supposed to be maintaining this. That makes a massive difference. That's real data from the STEP and SURMOUNT clinical trials. And when people stopped their GLP-1, the regain was significant. A 2026 meta-analysis across 37 studies found that an average of 10 kilograms of weight was regained in the first year of the medication. That's 22 pounds. And there's a psychological side to this too. Reports of depression, anxiety, that feeling of I don't enjoy anything anymore. Some people told me that their stimulant medications became ineffective. Now, these aren't happening to everybody, but they're real, they're documented, and they're exactly the kind of thing that proper monitoring and coaching can catch early on and manage. This is exactly why foundation first isn't just a philosophy that we talk about in our clinic, it's the protocol. You address the hormones, the metabolic health, the nutrition, the lifestyle, and then you add peptides or GLP-1s on top of that solid base. That's when they work the way that they're supposed to. That's when you get the results that last. And that's the lesson that every single one of those 1,000 people wish that they'd learned before they started. So now you know the pattern. The question is, what would these 1,000 people tell you to do instead? If these people could sit down over coffee at a table and tell you one thing, here's what they'd say. Don't do what we did. Don't spend thousands of dollars learning it the hard way, because the roadmap is actually pretty simple once you see it. And here it is, the framework, 5 things. And if you get these 5 things right, you're ahead of 90% of the people experimenting on their own. So let's start with number 1, foundation. So foundation means your hormones, your thyroid, your insulin signaling, your metabolic markers. Before you touch a single peptide, know where your body actually stands. This is the step that most people miss. You got to get the proper testing, and you have to be willing to get managed. Some GLP-1 patients never succeed until they get on hormone therapy, for example. Or, for example, if you have an autoimmune disease and you have a lot of inflammation, you might need something like low-dose naltrexone stacked with the GLP-1s or peptides that you're trying to use to improve your health. Okay. Number 2, source. So like we've mentioned, getting your peptides from a 503A compounding pharmacy gives you the kind of certainty that you know that what you're injecting into your body is safe. And more importantly, see, the safe issue, I'm not gonna say all research peptides are bad. I would be full of shit and I would never do that. There are plenty of companies that I'm sure are providing good peptides. You just don't know, and that's the gamble that you're paying for. So make your decision and do as much research as possible. Okay, number 3, monitor. So this is where professional guidance comes in. You need somebody that can order the labs, and you need somebody that can help you interpret the labs. How do we check inflammation? ESR and CRP. How do we check insulin resistance? A fasting insulin and C-peptide, right? How do I know if my testosterone is suboptimal? Because the ranges look good, but I feel like I have all the testosterone symptoms. By the way, this is very, very common in the TRT and hormone world. Is your labs are fine, your doctor says you're fine, even with thyroid too, and you don't. You have all the clinical indications and need for hormone therapy. So this is where professional guidance and monitoring can make all the difference. Number 4, so this is more of a mindset. The mindset of amplifying your peptides. I'm gonna say this simply. The foundation, if it's there, peptides will amplify it. If the foundation isn't there, you're gonna get minimal to moderate to possibly no results at all, somewhere in that lower end of range. So why would you bother wasting all the money when you can amplify the results with the peptides? And then finally, number 5, professional guidance. Now, this one goes hand in hand with the monitoring, right? Because you need the professional guidance to help you monitor. The labs are ordered, how do you interpret them? So I'd really put those two together. I've already hammered that in. I think that's very clear. You have your foundation, you have your source, you get professional guidance to monitor, and you understand the mindset is there for amplification. Don't waste your money, get that foundation in place and you're gonna do great. Now, if you're sitting here realizing that you've been guessing on your sources, skipping the blood work, stacking without a plan, or wondering whether your foundation is even ready for peptides, that's exactly what we offer our free discovery calls. You can either text the number on the screen or you can check out the link in the description and you'll get to speak with one of our patient educators. They'll get to know your history, what you've tried so far, and what your long-term goals actually look like. From there, you'll get a feel for what it's like to work with me, our coaches, and our medical team. They're gonna walk through your programs and pricing so that you can see what long-term success with the right system could actually look like. And if you're curious about what are the peptides that are very, very popular, the ones that you think you should be using potentially, but you need to completely avoid because they are straight up dangerous, then check out that video right there because I break it all down for you. We'll see you guys later.